For the agenda, Councilor Kirby, Councilor Kachaka, all in favor? New business, community center storage capacity. This is the same, something that's been,
Yeah, so basically what we're asking for in 2018 is money to have somebody come in and look at options for not only addressing the storage issues at the community center, but looking at adding space for other things as well. A larger weight room would be specifically a bigger child minding center, issues like that. So in 2018, that's what we're asking for money, is to get someone in to look at making those types of alterations. And then council asked this to be forwarded to this meeting because you wanted to discuss other changes, and then I think whether or not you wanted to do that as well, to look at increasing the child minding area as well as increasing the weight room size.
The child minding, is that the daycare facility? Okay, or not the play area that's existing, like right across from Action Play? It's the actual.
It's the downstairs, yeah.
Okay.
We are also looking at that area out there. It's turned into the play area for kids, and it's not conducive for that. The floor is very slippery. We have that big fireplace in the middle. That is an issue that we're looking to address in the future, but it's not something that is included with what we're doing right here.
Okay, okay. Can I just make a point? I myself wouldn't be in favor of adding on to the gym area due to the fact that I think, you know, if going forward, that should or could be a business opportunity. So I think maintaining what we have at the community center is great, but for expanding in that, I don't want the district to be the only thing that's, you know, kind of growing in town. I want to see an opportunity for others to bring in something. And we have expanded that gymnasium or the weight room once, haven't we?
I think we did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
is there a shortage of space in the weight room there? We don't have, is it on there what they want to do with it?
Do with the weight room?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know yet. That's what we're looking for, is to get some of these options. If you look at the drawing that has the, where are we, first floor plan? It says on the bottom right corner, first floor plan. That walkway in between the corridor that leads to the pool and then the daycare is a whole bunch of dead space there. There's room for things to be added on there. At the end of the library, we have the plaza there. There's room for space to be added on there as well, and there's probably other areas that additions could be put on. But again, that's if council wants to look at increasing those services. If council doesn't want to increase the weight room, then we don't make those changes, right? So just to finish up on that, the idea would be is if, let's say we took a look and we went with the idea of adding on a workout facility to the end of the library, then downstairs now becomes a storage area. So then you don't have to add a storage area on that as well. So with a building this size, there's a million different combinations we could look at, and that's why we want to have someone come in and make some recommendations, and why we need council to tell us, well, you know, an increased gym size is or is not a priority, or an increased, maybe you want, there's talks about increasing rooms 4 and 5 to have a ballroom or a meeting room or a fitness room. So what types of services do you want us to provide, and then we can go and get those plans.
Right.
so just to clarify, you're talking about the end of the library, so you're talking Roman walkway.
Roman walkway,
So
yes.
the district has put a whole bunch of money into the flooring and cementing out there and the gazebo out there. I would project that would be coming down, and that's where the extension would go.
Yeah.
So something that maybe should have been looked at when the renovation happened back in the day. I know you weren't here, Mr. Wall, neither was I, but I'm just saying, right, that's what you're thinking. So I just got a couple points to make off that, and one was the storage issues. So I know I did a tour 2 years ago through the rec center with your staff and stuff like that. I still see we're storing the old Zamboni. I'm not saying we don't need that, but when we didn't have the new Zamboni that they're using now, they didn't have a backup then.
It's not something we need to keep. We won't get almost anything for resale. It'll be quite low. But if the Zamboni breaks down, we don't have a backup, right? So we don't need to keep a backup, but if the Zamboni breaks down, your guys' phones will be ringing because we can't clean the ice and we'll have to cancel hockey, right? So it's up to council if you want to keep that, but I would recommend that we keep it.
And I'm fine with keeping it, but I don't know if it has to be stored. I mean, we have a gazebo that's up by the ball diamonds. Like, we're talking storage facilities, and it keeps coming up about building on, and I believe last time this came forward, and I think it was last year, they were talking about building on to the existing storage site that's already down there,
That's correct.
right? So my thing is that if we clean up the stuff we have and actually store it somewhere else, we actually, to me, you open up some storage space already for your staff. I'm not saying that works for your tables and chairs and stuff like that, but I think there's ways of cleaning up, to me, our own stuff first and see where we, and I'm not talking about the weight room or that yet, but the storage thing seems to be a big thing that keeps coming back. We actually cleaned up our own mess and get rid of the stuff we don't need, and I'm not saying get rid of it and sell it, but store it in different locations. We actually opened up a ton of storage area within the community center, including TR Day Society, the TR Arts Council. Like, we talked about CCANs, and I know you did send an email out and say that didn't go anywhere. There's that option too of making that available, CCANs out at the Pub Workshop, where these groups can store their stuff, and that only opens up more storage space for them, including room 2. So I think that's something that this council should be looking at with these groups and stuff like that, and see. I mean, so what, they have to go out and drive out and get some of their stuff. But I mean, TR Day Society is one of them that stores there all year, and they use it once a year. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think your blow-ups are there, and you guys probably use them more often, or the group does. But I think that's something that should be looked at, is that CCAN thing for them, and whether the district supplies a CCAN and charges a small rent or the dollar rental or whatever. I know Mr. Wall sent out a note how they could, fence it around in different ways, so there's actually a separate gate going in. I think that's something that should be looked at in regards to storage. That's just my spell on the storage issue. Community center.
I also agree with that. I want to see if we can organize a cleanup. I know TR Days went in and was looking for some of their stuff, and there's some stored at the community center, there's some stored elsewhere, and trying to find their assets. It was kind of all over the place. Some of it's broken, and everything is kind of just under bleachers in various rooms. So I think we do need to focus on a general cleanup, because the Art Society too, they have stuff in that one room that has probably not been touched for years. So I think we need to organize a really good cleanup and then see where we're at. And then adding on to an old building, I don't want to see, new on something old that's going to pose a problem 10, 20 years down the road, when the original structure is, aging. And, if there's a storage facility, I would like to see something like where that Zamboni, I totally agree with that. Maybe moving that old Zamboni out to across from the Ball Diamonds. There's that building that's not heated or whatever, but that would be a good storage facility for some of the old equipment that we want to bring back if we need it. Also, the childcare, I do see the need for that. That's something that, people relocating to town, there's a small space there that is fully utilized, but I think other than space, the other thing is attracting the professionals into that. I know they've been advertising and they've got funding available, but it's getting those people that are qualified to be there as well. So, getting the space is part of the problem, but the trained personnel is another issue. I think, yeah, those are the ones that pop up.
I'd just like to hear from you, actually, your worship, in regards to the road walkway. And I'm not trying to say it's just you, but the previous council, I wish Mr. Mackay and Mr. Casey would have been here. You know, when you guys decided to go and do the outside of the building and refab it, and I know there was some heavy stuff that was done there. Realized some of the steel beams had to be replaced, so, you know, you say old with new or whatever, but I mean, I know that they went through that building, there were some issues and had to pull out some of the beams and put in new beams. I'm curious what your opinion is of the Roman walkway. Let's say if that was to leave and there was an extension put on there. I'm curious, especially because you guys did that back.
Well, we've run into that with the swimming pool. Like, you know, when you go and do a huge upgrade that's expensive, and then you're fixing other things that deteriorate, and it comes to the point where has that, you know, building or whatever met its lifetime, so then you're patching and it becomes not as cost effective as building something new, so.
Well, what they did here, they had engineers look at the building and come up with what was the best thing. I forget the life expectancy after they did the work they did, but it was kind of like refabbing this building. They say it's good for another 30 years. Well, I think that's kind of the number, if we look back, would be probably pretty close to the same number that they said for the rec center. Walkway was never a question. Nobody ever thought about expanding a building there. So at the time, we didn't need anything. So you know, I agree with what you guys are saying, that we should clean up our act around here and find out which storage spaces can be put into a CCAN. I like the idea of CCANs out there. Groups have their own area and they can just do it whenever they want. I do think we should do that before we really look at what I've always favored some kind of storage out here to get rid of some of the big stuff I've seen stacked around. There's tables and stuff upstairs. But I mean, we got places for that once we clean everything else up. But we move the Zamboni up to a storage shed or something, you know. I haven't looked at it with that in mind, but I think clean up the mess first, and if we're short, then we should look at something else.
So my comment again on the Roman walkway. So that was something that you guys, I mean, obviously it was already there and you guys did it again and made it better. So let's say, if, you know, we decide whether it's cleaned up now or we say, yeah, let's get a concept drawing of what could be done for expanding the weight room and the children's center and everything else. And if that was one of the locations that has to go away, you were on council when that went through and the construction of the new one with the new roof, the new wood structure. I'd curious what your opinion on that would be.
I wouldn't want to go that way. I like that area. I think it's
Okay, I just want to see what your opinion.
Yeah. I think it's a great spot. I think there's lots of other areas we could expand to.
Yep.
But, yeah.
So you wouldn't be in favor of getting rid of the Roman walkway? That looks amazing.
Well, I like it.
I do too.
No,
I'm just curious,
Yeah.
and that's what I said. I was hoping Council Case and Council McKay was going to be here because that was the same question to them. I mean, that was something that you guys did when you guys decided to redo the community center on the outside and do the refab and all that, and that was something that was constructed and stuff like that. And I was just curious to hear the opinion of the previous council on that.
No, I still think we did the right thing there. You know, things change over the years.
Absolutely.
The one thing I wanted us to have a look at, or get somebody to have a look at and see what it would cost to do, is what is it? The two, the L
4 and
shape,
5.
4 and 5, yeah. I think, you know, like we're always talking that,
3, 4,
yeah, what I'd like to see maybe done is that the wall that goes across, and where the hallway is, put a wall straight across, right to the outside wall, so that you make that into a big square, and maybe a curtain down the center of it, so that you can open that up and have that whole area as kind of like for the trend, and have a little stage in one corner or something, a little raised area. I think it would take a lot of the. I think this would be used a lot more, because it's. I've been in there so many times, and if you're sitting here, you don't know who's over here. You know, it's
Yeah,
kind of like two different meetings. So it's very and that big hallway is just a waste of space to me, you know. And I just think that'd be a fairly cheap change, and I think it would really make those rooms more usable.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think if something was out to be looked at, I would hope we look at installing a kitchen. That's a huge thing here around the community. the groups wanna do something,
Isn't,
somebody wants to do their wedding, or the junior rangers wanna do something, there's nowhere to go to do your own thing. So to me, like, a lot of communities have it, I mean, I'd say all communities have it, a lot of people have community halls where they, you know, more the same kind of floor plan you're thinking, you open up a big room, but they also have a kitchen available where they can do their own cooking, you know, you have a 50th birthday or 65th anniversary, you know, you don't have to hire caterers at $50 an hour.
Perfect right there.
Yeah, no, that's why I say I agree, like, I'm not sure, I mean, obviously, if we put our wish list out there, I imagine if this funding's approved by council, then that gives staff some, you know, to look at, I mean, maybe it's unfeasible or undoable due to there's windows on that side, and where do you cut in vents and stuff unless you look straight up, right? So, something like that.
But I guess before we look at any of that, maybe we should be doing a complete cleanup of storage and that, and try to try to clean up as much space as we can. Go ahead,
Thank you. This is a question through to Mr. Wall. When you say we need to enlarge the rec, like the gym and stuff, is it just different equipment that is needed there? Is there, you know, some of those, is the equipment getting old? Like what's the thought there? Like what are the numbers using the facility, and what are the changes that you're kind of looking at?
This was direction from Councillor Howe.
Oh, it wasn't, okay, so just to upgrade to enlarge the gym? Okay, it wasn't, okay, I was confused about that.
what's everybody's thought about the gym?
To me, the gym, right now, at the size it is fine, and I kind of agree with Councillor Scott. I know there's been talk about having a running track. If you want to do a, you know, that would mean a new facility, it would have a running track, it would have a bigger gym, you could put a lot of things in there. It could be a standalone. Then you'd have extra space there to increase the child care center if you needed, but I'm not sure what the numbers are, and if the child care center right now is running at capacity, or they need more space, or what, but I wouldn't be interested in enlarging the gym at this point.
Councillor Scott was correct. The childcare spaces are full.
Yeah.
They want to expand. They're constrained by two things: space they have, and also they need the trained professionals. So right now they're a little bit under capacity because I think they need one more trained professional to get to capacity. But once they do that, there's a waiting list. They have the ability to fill more spaces. For resident attraction, it is an issue for people coming to town and not having childcare. I can say just from our experience, it's an issue as well. So that's one of the ones that staff is bringing forward and saying, you know, we should be taking a look at this. It may be something council says, you know, this is better left for private business to take on rather than the district providing that space, but childminding is an issue. Even at the lower population levels right now, it's an issue. Once another mine, or if another mine starts up, it'll become you don't want to say crisis because it's not a crisis, but it'll be an issue
Bigger
for
issue.
sure.
Go ahead.
Well, I actually remember sitting in council meetings to the previous council when we had the mines running, and obviously or wherever you sat there, they were talking about building a standalone child center.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, I know the mine was contributing 10 grand, and this one was gonna do that and
That was
everything else.
HD.
Yeah, but it was HD, I know Anglo was on board, I believe Tech was on board, Wolverine at the time, now Canuma. But they were looking at building a standalone building due to the issues that you've just raised in regards to, you know, people looking at your community, wanting to come to your community. The childcare was a huge issue, which is those other extra mines running. Right now we have one. And hearing from HD, federal government states that should hear, I think it's December 11th or 15th, and then if not, January.
February, yes, yeah.
So there's that one there. I was trying to look for some information in regard to the Bordeaux windmill project that I heard they have got approval for. I tried looking for it just while I was here. The internet's on my phone's down. But I talked to Jordan about somebody showed it to me story, so I tried to look for the same thing, and it says 2018. So Mr. Wall hasn't heard about it yet. I mean, I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't talked to Councillor Howe if he's heard anything about it. I'm not sure if you have.
Products?
Yeah, not the 5 windmills that are Moose Lake project. It's actually a bigger Moose Lake project on Crown land.
This is the one out by the,
Moose Lake.
yeah, but the new one's the one out by the airport? Right?
Nope, this one says Moose Lake project. So I'm assuming Moose Lake. But on
that
Crown
might
land.
be the
The
5.
Moose Lake project has the ability to expand. It was kept small in order to come under the standing offer program. We met with Boralex when we were down at Clean Energy BC. They gave us no indication. They didn't expect anything to happen for them for another 5 years. Now, BC Hydro may have just came down and said yes to an expansion. We haven't done it yet. But I'll take a look in to see if I can find anything.
So I mean, something like that, I know what I'm saying, something like that comes on, childcare becomes an even, like you said, not a crisis, but it's more looked at, trying to get that for children, so. I don't know how that works in you guys' talks, and you guys talked about, doing a standalone childcare facility, I'm not sure.
I think that, to me, that makes more sense than a standalone gym.
Mm-hmm.
I think a standalone childcare, and then you move the gym facilities into this area maybe, but that makes more sense to me.
You remember where that came out? The talk about that, like I said, I mean, I only heard some of it, right, preliminary part of it.
Yeah, it was actually in that concept that they had for HD, it was part of that concept. Construction.
Well, and that's what I was hoping at our strategic planning session that we had, for getting into our last year, that we're looking at the priorities to make Tumbler Ridge a selling feature for families to relocate here. And that would be the childcare, the northern health issues, like all of those things, and that if we kind of take that to everything that we have existing and apply, like if we prioritize those essential services and essential needs rather than kind of the, the gym and those things are nice, but the childcare would be a huge, huge selling feature to have families relocating here. Because I know with trying to attract employees, they do, once they're here for a week or whatever, they go and take a look at the community center. They take a look at, what could entice their wives or their spouses here and their kids. So if we don't have those things in place, we aren't going to, we'll remain that camp town and people will be renting and stuff like that rather than relocating. So I think this is our opportunity to get ready for the next upswing.
I really see the benefits of having the childcare center in the community center. I mean, you have the library there, you have the pool, you have the skating, you have everything right there. And I kind of believe that they are the one that should remain in the community center, and the gym be the standalone. That's just my opinion.
I've been wrong before.
I've been wrong too, but I think that would be definitely worth the opinion. Like we're talking to the staff. We're talking to the staff and how they feel about it. Where would that building be? How long would it take to get a new building and get it up to, I don't know. I that's definitely something I'd want to be talking to them before we make a decision on that, and just the benefits of being right in the community center.
Oh, I was just gonna say, for a standalone, I wouldn't be in favor of putting up another building. I want to be drawing business in. So if a gym, like what we have right now for that facility is great. If we wanted expansion, again, I think that should be, a business coming in and purchasing land and putting something else up. The childcare, I think, needs to stay at the community center, and there is where I'd, be in favor of expanding there. Hopefully we get to the point where somebody can make a business of that too, but that would be an essential service.
Is the land between the high school and the community center, is that ours to work with in between there?
At some point, the property line will be there. I don't know where it is. The issue you're going to have with that is just the slope into it. You'd have to cut into the bank to build anything there.
Okay.
Not that it can't be done.
And just also the courts, the racquetball courts, what kind of usage are they getting?
Mixed. I mean, it's they're starting to get into the state of disrepair, and we're been talking amongst ourselves. Is this something that we refurbish, or is this something that we move on from? And that's going to be a discussion that will be brought up, not to this council, but to the next council to see what they want to do with those. The volleyball court, I should say, there's a volleyball league going.
Yeah.
The squash court, there's been attempts to get a squash league going. Right now, it's occasional drop-in.
I didn't even know there was something back in there.
Yeah.
There's a couple little exercise machines for parents to use and watch their kids when they're swimming too. But I mean, that's something too. If we didn't want to continue those, that becomes a really good storage area. You know, you don't have to go outside the building, but you'd have to get rid of the racquetball and volleyball, and there is a fairly
Yeah.
popular volleyball league.
Yeah, yeah.
Just one more question. On the storage space where the Zamboni is parked, is that heated?
Don't think so, no.
Okay. So would that become an issue? Is that something we'd have to do if we ended up using that area for storage?
No, staff is just looking for cold storage.
Okay, okay.
So what if we didn't, we've made a wish list, okay, we wanted more daycare stuff, we wanted a bigger gym, and have somebody come in and say, and look at this and see what's the best way they can do it with this setup here, you know, like just a wish list kind of thing, not something that we're gonna do tomorrow, something that we could work, have an ongoing project kind of thing, a 5-year deal, this is what we end up with. So is that something, you know, that at least we'd have a plan? This is definitely gonna need to do these things, it's gonna take a plan.
Well, the initial cleanup and organizing what we do have, like we could implement that.
You know, that's something that could happen right away.
Mhm.
But, to expand our daycare facilities and to expand our gym and, like everybody wanted there, you know, we could, have somebody in and give us their ideas on that.
So I think that's right. What if any services do you want to expand, and what if any services do you want to not restrict but decrease? So if it's childcare that's the issue, we can just approve funds to have someone come take a look at how we can expand childcare. If it's childcare and gym, we can do that. If it's childcare, gym, and storage, we can do that as well. What's the desire of council to look at?
Because I think childcare always, yeah, because,
I do.
because it's stuff people, you know, and, it's just, I personally feel. But we need someone to come in and give us some ideas, what we can do, especially if we want to keep it in the rec center. But if they're gonna be doing that, they should be looking at the rest of it. I would think.
Yeah, exactly. Also, we need to address the issue of just the tables and chairs, so it's easy for staff to be, you know, that was one of the staff's big concern is just the moving of those and, you know, up and down stairs and where they're all going. That should be one of the priorities too.
So if that's what council is, you could make a motion that staff includes costs for the 2018 budget to analyze the community center to increase X, Y, Z space. What space is it that you want?
So would that be a motion to expand childcare
Could be if that's what you want, yeah.
and reorganize or add to the storage areas?
I think the gym should be in there too. Down the road, it should be in there. And have a look at 4 and 5 and see what they can. If there's anything else.
Would they come back with something on better organizing it too? Like I do see if we did what Mayor McPherson suggested, that there may be an opportunity to build like storage into like kind of a closed or a closeted area for the tables and chairs and use that hallway space. But wouldn't an expert be able to? Because I'm not in favor of adding on to the existing building unless it's a must, like for the childcare or whatever. But if we can reorganize the existing building, I would be in favor of that. And I think, once we take care of that, then possibly another building down the road for other things, a standalone.
That space up front of the daycare center, that's just wide open, isn't it? It's a kind of an outdoor play area.
Yeah.
If you're gonna expand the daycare, to me, that would be the obvious place that you'd expand. There's lots of places for play areas.
Just like Mr. Wall was stating, that hallway is just, I mean, we have a lot of access, if that was gone and you just have a different entrance into the pool and a different entrance, there's a whole bunch of space right in the middle there.
Yeah, because I think the daycare needs play area right adjacent or whatever that's that's
Yeah.
handy, but you could add on there and then extend, like if we shorten that hallway. But that wouldn't be for us to decide, that would be the experts, I guess, coming back with that.
Because you could have the play area in the middle, and then you could have another, after-school care or whatever it was, and they both have access to the outdoor park, but there's two different kind of,
Well, outside, there's still kind of a walkway area that could be utilized.
So do you wanna make a motion to have that come to the budget talks?
yes, what is the motion?
It would be to include costs in the 2018 budget to examine the expansion of, it sounds like daycare, gym you guys aren't decided on, but daycare, storage, and gym. You guys gotta figure out if you're doing gym or not.
I think we should, if we're gonna have some expert come in, might as well have that too. I've heard that from other people, not just Will, that it should be bigger. I don't use it.
But again, is that something we need to take care of, like that, the community center, has the pool, has the curling rink, it has a good gym facility. Is that our, mayor and council's job to make the gym nice or bigger for?
The way I look at the gym, there's so many spaces down in here that I don't think it's a big expense to make the gym bigger. A lot of this area is never used.
Does the gym recoup that? Like, does it hold its own?
Does it make money?
Oh, very well.
I guess you'd have to take a look at, just on depreciation it does. So if you take a look at the equipment depreciation rate, we are doing okay there. But if you started factoring things into like a lease, like how much would that space be getting if it was leased out? I don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
I would be surprised if you factored in those costs, like the heating, put the heating in there, the electrical, and then lease costs. I would be surprised if it was still making money at that point.
Okay. See, and that's where I wouldn't be in favor of putting more there. Like if the town expands, that's where that would be a huge opportunity for somebody to take that on as a business. Like just looking at neighboring towns, there's, Dawson has private gymnasiums or gyms. So,
But if you look at it that way, I'll bet you there's more people use the gym than use the curling club. So if you're looking to look at it that way, then there's a lot of things should go with it.
but that's where maintaining what we have and then expanding in those essential areas like the childcare, that's all I'm focusing on.
I would agree with you. Childcare is number one,
Absolutely.
and then down the road, you never know. If somebody comes in and put the gym in, we just shut that thing down and use it for something else.
So that's why I'm not.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not looking at expanding it.
Chetwynd just I don't know, not just, but they put in their new gym. The city did.
Go ahead, Jeanette.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, just before, when we put these things, look at expanding, I'd like to also know, first off, is how many spaces the daycare is needing, Like, what are they expanding to? Are they looking for spaces for an after-school program? Is it for preschool? Is it, babies program? Like, I think you need to know just exactly what they're
It's
looking
everything.
at. It's everything,
Absolutely everything.
so
And the early ones, I think there's a limit of the, like the 2-year-olds, the ones that
yeah,
aren't
yeah. And-
trained yet.
But just to know what kind of floor space they're needing, so we actually know what they're needing to, so even before we make the budget, I like to sit down with those groups, and I'm not really for expanding on the gym. I would be waiting for that. But getting some more information, just numbers using the gym. I know there's people in town looking, like, we've got clubs that are using the school gyms too, that are looking for space. Like, there's a fight club that wants to have space in town, they can't find it. So maybe there is more need to the gym than you think, but for what kinds of things, and what kind of improvements what are people looking for at the gym? Is it different equipment? Is it, those are is it a running track that people want? It's really what are we looking at before we get someone in to say, oh, we want to expand, but we don't really know.
Well, we only have one, Canoomacole running. If there are other mines opening up, which
Yeah.
there is potential of, then the childcare right now has a wait list. And they're looking for trained people, a trained
Yeah.
person, which they've been looking at since September. So to me, it comes down to needs or wants. And to me, the childcare is a need at this time, and which will get critical if there's more industry and resource sector opening up around here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have no doubt in that. It's, even when the mines were busy, I was the president of the Child Care Society, and even when it was the busiest, we weren't turning too many kids away. You're always the staffing issues, but if they need more space, it'd be nice to know, like, are they looking at branching into, I know there was talks at one point of taking the gym right out, and the childcare wanted to take over that whole gym area because there was room for that. So is it getting to that? What is it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. So I would not be in favor on the motion in regards to the storage part of it. I mean, I guess it could be looked at, and, we say not the gym, but only the child center. But the thing is, I think if we're bringing in a company, or if Mr. Wall's gonna be bringing a company in, then just look at the children's center, you're gonna be paying the full price for that. Probably the same buck if you were to add on the weight room and rooms 3, 4, and 5. Even storage, which I don't agree with storage yet until, I think, to me, again, I'm not giving individual staff direction, but I think there needs to be looked at better storage of our stuff, and one of them is that Zamboni. When I did the walk around, I couldn't believe, doesn't matter to me that we have 2, but I don't understand why we would store it there, and we have other areas, and that would open up a ton of room for them. But I think that needs to be looked at. But if you're going to bring an individual in, to me, to look at the community center, to me, you put it all out there. It doesn't mean you can't weed it off when it comes back. It doesn't mean we have to, for them to expand a daycare, maybe the gym has to move, and maybe it doesn't. Maybe there's two different proposals. We can expand it this way, and we don't move nothing, or you move the gym here, and you can expand it this way. I think that's the job of the group that was to be hired, and it's no different than rooms 3, 4, and 5. Maybe we love the idea, and the kitchen's going to go in there, and it's great. And their storage concept is to take away the staff parking up top and build on something there for storage for tables and chairs. We don't know. I think that's what the staff's looking for. And I think you can always, like, to me, whether we're here when that report comes back or it's a new council, and that'll be their thing if they don't want to do it. But I think if you're going to bring them in to do an expansion on the child center or have a look at that, I think you might as well throw it all into it, including the running track. Like, for all we know, it works. For all we know, that works. Like, I obviously I don't run, but maybe they come outside the wall and come outside the building a bit and then loop back into the building. I don't know. I've seen lots of running tracks. I've seen them built into existing buildings and stuff like that. It might not work in Tumbleweed.
Yeah, well, if they could do a report on fully utilizing the existing building, however, like with reorganizing it and everything, and then X number of dollars for add-ons, like i.e. the running track or whatever. But I want to make sure that the existing facility is organized and used to its utmost prior to building on. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. But we wouldn't know that until we have a look at everything.
Absolutely.
That includes
Yes.
to me, the weight room.
Yeah.
It includes the library. Like, to me, yeah. I'm not saying the library needs to be expanded, but if you're going to have somebody come in, and I've read the report. I think that's the understanding is they're going to overlook at the whole thing, and I'm not saying you get rid of a bathroom, but maybe there's a storage facility there right behind room 5.
And then
Says
the
storage
clean-
there, for all we know that's gonna come out, because we don't need that one because it's gonna go over here.
Mm-hmm.
And that opens up that room, maybe that's where the kitchen goes. I don't know, that's not my job.
Mm-hmm.
My job is to improve funds. But all I'm saying, like, you know, I don't agree that we look at building storage. I don't. Right now, I don't agree that. But it doesn't hurt for them to have a look at it and say, no, if you're actually to build it up here in the parking lot that staff uses right now, this is how big it would be. Still get some staff parking there, you're gonna lose 5 stalls. That's maybe that is feasible. Maybe that changes my vote to a yes. But right now, I don't agree with any built on storage. But if we're gonna look at them coming in or have staff go and seek help, I think you gotta look at the whole picture and let them come back. And I think that's where you put all your wants: the racing track, weight room, library, the child center, rooms 3, 4, and 5 that the worship mentioned. You know, there's other meeting rooms. Like maybe they say, geez, you know, room 1's used all the time because we don't charge an off profit for room 1. So really and truly, we don't need room 2 either anymore. We could actually use that for something else. Or whatever. We don't know. I just think you got to throw it all into the hat and let them. I mean, I'm not sure what the price tag is.
I agree with you, because, you know, if I'm looking at this, and I'm not sure, not an expert, I would say if I was gonna expand the childcare, I'd be looking at taking the weight room stuff.
Exactly.
And moving it maybe over to the storage room or something. You know.
Like I think that's going to come back with. And it's no different than the office that's being used by Mr. Wall's staff down by the Fireside Lounge. Maybe they say no, we could actually get rid of that and build on that, and this is what it could become. Well, no, Mr. Wall would have to say, geez, you know, if we got rid of that office, that's going to really strap us because then we have to do this, we have to do that. But maybe we say no. We like that idea. Like, I think that's this idea, this concept is you throw everything in the hat and then come
Yeah.
back and then scratch stuff off the list. Like no, you know, 4 out of 3 councils don't want the weight room expanded. Well, that's not going to happen. But if you don't expand if you don't move the weight room over here, then you can't expand the daycare unless you're to do this project. So
Well,
I
and
think
then-
that's what comes out of that report.
One other thing we've always been talking to is, I think rooms 1, 2, and 3, if they were available to rent out to business to have trinket shops or whatever in there, is this the time too to throw that possibility? Are those rooms rentable as is, or would they have to have firewalls or something in there to make them rentable, or are they good as is, if we chose to go that route?
It would depend on the type of shop that was going in there, but we
Okay.
would just restrict the type of shops.
Okay, so
Just
they're,
business incubators. like a
yeah.
Pop-up.
That doesn't mean that, you know, you're talking about that too. So
Yeah.
so to me, that's a want.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
a thought by
absolute-
council
yes.
to have this available for businesses that are
Yeah,
home based right now.
tentative.
But all we know that goes down by the Fireside on the one
Mm-hmm.
side there, you can watch the rink. Maybe they box that in there, it becomes a store right there.
Yeah,
Like, I think that's like, if you throw that want out there, I mean, yes, you can
Right.
say room 1 and 2, but you know,
Right.
this the person that does it might come back and say, hey, there's a space right here that we have a bench there that people watch hockey from the inside. That's great. But we could actually box that in and make a storefront by this square footage. Approximate rent would be that. Yes, it's not right on Front Street, but you know, you still get walkthroughs.
yeah.
I just think that's why, you know, like last week we had our meeting, I'll be honest, I was totally not in favor of any of it. You know, I did read the report even at home before the meeting, but, you know, the more I hear from everybody else in the discussion here, and that's why my notice motion about PMP coming back, this is the reason why. Because you can actually discuss it, there's no,
Yes.
That's
you
right.
know, it's around the table, you know, sometimes you stick staff in a hard spot by looking for an answer, but it gives you the whole picture. You guys say what you want, like, I'm not saying the weight room needs to be expanded, but I remember
Yeah.
listening to people, and I mean, obviously Mr. Wall knows that if they were to pay the power and their gas and all that, it doesn't make money, but it's I'm probably gonna come back and say it's probably not true, but I think it's the most used facility that we have, including the swimming pool. Like I've been to the swimming pool, I've been here 10 years, I've been to the swimming pool 3 times. The last time I was there with myself and 2 kids for 3 hours. Not one other person came in the pool. I was at the community center yesterday. I watched skating patrol skate around the ice when 2 kids finally came in for 15 minutes. So, you know, you go by the weight room, there's always somebody in the weight room. I'm not saying it needs to be expanded, but to expand your daycare without extending another building onto it is moving
Yeah.
that weight room somewhere else.
So do we have a motion on?
No.
Have we, and before we make the motion, one last question. Have we ever had something like this done? Like, I know we have reports sitting on shelves and stuff like that. Is this like when we did the upgrades?
I know we looked at doing the running track, but I don't know if we had an expert look at that or if it was
I don't believe so.
just a building inspector.
Okay.
Yeah. that kind of-
Okay, so this would be, and do we have a rough idea what something like this would cost?
I mean, you guys have expanded it quite significantly. My guess would this would be a $20,000 or $30,000 project now with all the different options, designs, drawings.
But that would come back with a full, like, complete report of what we could do with it.
It would give you some, I mean, it's not complete, there's a million different options. They'll give you some options that you could pursue. They'll give you a general outline on what the costs are gonna be, but it won't be broken down, like the costs won't be a good estimate. They'll be, you know, generally it costs this much to build this much square footage.
Okay, so I'd be good with that.
Yeah, and I know we're doing this,
Yeah.
bringing it to budget talks.
Yeah. Mhm.
Change the budget. So you made the motion?
Do I want to make, no, someone else can make it.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, so the motion would be for staff to forward costs in the 2018 budget discussion to provide options for increasing storage, childcare, gym, space, and a reorganization of the community center. Does that sound about right?
And room 3, 4, and 5.
Yes.
Like that, I think you hit it on there anyways, but
Mhm.
and if it just stayed like that room 3 and 4,
Yeah,
the
and
workshop
the-
mentioned about maybe looking at, you know, if there's a way of installing a kitchen.
And
in there.
joining rooms 3, 4, and 5 with a possible kitchen. You got that?
Well, it might be rented more.
Yeah, maybe, I think we took away so many,
Second?
Don't I'll second that.
More discussion?
Oh, I got discussion. I'm just hearing my counselor beside me in regards to my comment about the kitchen. I'm gonna make that note just because it's on tape. I hope people are watching it. The kitchen idea is because every town I've lived in has a community hall, and that community hall comes with a kitchen. It comes with fridges. And, you know, when I want to have a 45th birthday, I can go rent that out. I don't have to hire a caterer. You know, I can have myself cook it. You know, so even my staff Christmas party, we normally cook it ourselves, right? That's the idea. It's not to take away from any business in Tumbler Ridge. It's an option. A lot of people don't want to cook,
yeah.
you know, but that option's there.
I agree.
That's the
with-
reason I say it. And I just want to make sure. I know I'm not here to take away from any
Oh.
of the restaurants, but I just think it's something that can be looked at.
Councillor Scott.
I think when you're talking about that in that one, there is actually a sink and I'm not sure what else is in there, but that probably wouldn't be that difficult to do. And it might rent out more frequently because I think it's not used that much.
Yep, thank you, Worship. I think there is even a stove in one of those rooms. But just on the fact of just in those rooms there, I don't know if it would take away, you know, how much the kitchen there would take away of just the square footage. And I do believe that we do need a hall. And that's, you know, with somewhere to have a kitchen. I'm just not sure. It'll come back and we'll see what the kind of the space and how many people you can fit in there. It's still an option, but I know I've brought up a few times about having a hall out at, like, having a fairgrounds or somewhere where you can have a hall rental and with extra meeting rooms and such. So I see where you're going with the kitchen. It's not that I'm against a kitchen here. I'm just thinking this might not be too big enough to have both, but see what the options are.
Okay.
Just on the motion, I'm not sure we really hit it there in regards to the running track.
It does not, this motion doesn't include a running track.
You want to do it, have that looked at?
I'm not in favor. I'm just saying right now, I'm not in favor of looking at putting a running track into that facility. I think it'll be far too expensive, and I think that will just kind of, that to me I see as standalone. When I think of gym and expanding and having a place, that's where I see that.
Yeah, a running track, and I do agree with previous building inspector. We'd have to do a whole bunch of work to that building,
Yeah.
so it's a big expense.
And I agree there.
Okay. So we're gonna leave that out.
I'll be supporting it.
Didn't council discuss a running track here just a couple of weeks ago?
I know, but I'm just thinking it was, and I think that was one of the notice motions from Councillor Howell.
Yeah,
And
was
it was
that-
less for this discussion.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I'm trying, you know, I'm not hanging on his behalf. I think if we're spending $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000 to have this done, why not throw that in there? It's not gonna up the cost of them looking at this and saying, geez, if you were to add a running track, it's gonna cost you $5 million. Well, that's a dead issue.
Oh, this would be different. We'd have to get a structural engineer
Okay.
in to
Okay.
take a look at a running track. Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame.
That can come up another time.
Okay, I'll call a question, all in favor?
voted in favor, just put it in, I just thought the thing,
Yeah.
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 And it's not what I run, it's an obvious.
On 5.2,
I'd be the last guy to use it.
on 5.2, the figure skating club has responded back with a yes. Tumridge Minor Hockey's invited me to their board meeting on January 8th because they'd like to ask some questions about it, so they haven't responded yet. It's up to council. You can, but you guys wanted to wait till.
I'll make a motion to table till all groups have been,
I can do that.
yeah.
Favor?
Do you know when that meeting is, Jordan?
The
Minor
board
Hockey?
meeting? In the 8th.
On the 8th? Okay.
What, do you know what time?
7 o'clock. That's council night. That's the one that we made the motion
I was
to have
looking at
that
the
hour.
2017 calendar. Yeah, you're
That's the one
right.
that we're starting at 4 o'clock to allow that hour presentation.
Yeah.
So we still might be out in time to keep the,
Yeah, well, I can have
Yes.
Yep.
Ms. McKay at anyways.
yeah, that's the one we're starting at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, no, and you know, just about the B&B, this is the type of thing where.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we need
It's coming
to
up, and I mean, I know it's another meeting for
No,
all of us.
I'd
but man,
sooner
this
do
is-
that.
This could have been solved on our Monday meeting, but to me, I don't think they don't have, I won't say the time, that's probably the wrong excuse to use. But I think it becomes a time issue. They look at their agenda, it's this thick, and they're like,
Yeah.
Well, when it's one specific topic, that's when we throw out
yeah,
everything
you give a
too.
chance.
And this was a good discussion.
That was
Yes.
great, yeah.
No.
Yes.